to my channel, Hexes and Horrors. My name is Ashley, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Sleepy Hollow, New York versus Salem, Massachusetts. So I don't even want to pit these two places against each other because in my opinion, there's no way that they even compare because they're so different. But so many people like to compare them and think that when they visit Sleepy Hollow, they're going to get the same experience as when they visit Salem. And that is simply not the case. Now, I love both places. I have been to both places many times. I even lived in Sleepy Hollow for a year, and Salem I have visited countless times. Yes, they are both Halloween towns. Yes, they both go all out for October. Yes, they both subscribe to spooky season, but they are not the same. So first, let's get into why people are so disappointed sometimes when they visit Sleepy Hollow. Their expectations are too high. Their expectations just don't make sense for the place that they're visiting. They've been to Salem, they've seen what it is, they've seen what it's all about. Then they go to Sleepy Hollow and they expect to see the same thing. The best way that I can put it is that Sleepy Hollow is a historic town. Salem is also a historic town. They're both rich with history, but Salem has taken it to a whole nother level of spookiness. I don't even know how to put it. They have so many businesses that are based on Halloween, spooky things, haunted things, monsters, horror, goth clothing and culture. You're not gonna really see that in Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow is more focused on the history, and a lot of the attractions that they have during October also surround that history. And it's not that Salem doesn't, because they have all of that too. It's just that Salem has another element of spooky season, we'll say. If Salem was only focused on the witch trials history, the maritime history, the history of the town and construction and everything else that has gone on there, it would still be an amazing place to visit, but it would not be as popular as it is today. It's popular because people go there who like spooky shit. People go there because they love Halloween. People go there because they love horror. And Salem has all of those things as well as the history. Sleepy Hollow's activities surround the history only, okay? So even the things that are spooky there are tied back in to the history. They're tied back into the Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. They're tied back into the Headless Horseman from that tale. There is an element of some hauntings and true crime things that they have on some of their tours, but not in the same kind of pop culture way as Salem might do it. And there's nothing wrong with it, and in my opinion, no one place is better than the other. They're just very different. So, what is there to see in Sleepy Hollow? Let's get into it because people have those high expectations. We're just gonna bring them right down. So, Sleepy Hollow has tons to do and see in October and year round. The first one is the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. This is such a great place to visit any time of year. You can visit the grave of Washington Irving. You can visit the mausoleum where they filmed Dark Shadows, the TV series. You can visit Rockefeller's grave. You can visit a ton of different people's resting places. And then they also have the Old Dutch Church, which has a separate cemetery. So the Old Dutch Cemetery is connected to Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, but they're not the same cemeteries. You can even visit the graves that the characters from the Legend of Sleepy Hollow were based off of. There's also the Headless Horseman Bridge at the cemetery, which is not, of course, the original bridge, but it's a very pleasant, serene spot to stand. And then you can also even see the place where the real bridge used to stand. Then we have Phillipsburg Manor, not too far down the road from the cemetery, where you can see what colonial life was like. To be honest, those are the only two things that I really see in Sleepy Hollow, except of course the infamous Sleepy Hollow sign, which there are two of them, but the one that most people see and take pictures in front of is the one that's right by the Sleepy Hollow High School. Now, the reason that these are the only couple of things in Sleepy Hollow, besides restaurants and bars and that kind of thing, is because Tarrytown is connected to Sleepy Hollow, and a lot of the other attractions are actually in Tarrytown. Now, you can walk between the towns, they're very close to each other, but some of the attractions are in Tarrytown, and people just call it Sleepy Hollow, especially during October, because it's just kind of the same area. Another fun thing to see in Sleepy Hollow is Beekman Ave Jack, a friend of mine who lives in Sleepy Hollow and does amazing content. She has dubbed him Sleepy Hollow Jack, but he is the clock tower in the center of town. So they decorate the clock tower for Halloween and then also for Christmas time. And it's just another fun spot, a good photo spot if you want to take a picture of yourself or just of the clock tower. That is on Beekman Ave, where a lot of the great restaurants and bars are for Sleepy Hollow. And then if you walk just up the road, you'll pass the Sleepy Hollow sign and you'll be going into Tarrytown. Now in Tarrytown, we have a lot of other things to see. You have the Tarrytown Music Hall, which is a famous music hall. You have Lyndhurst Mansion. You have Sunnyside, which was the former home of Washington Irving. Another fun spot to see is the Sleepy Hollow Lighthouse, which of course might be more fun in spring or summer when the weather is a little better. There's also the Armour Steiner House, or the Octagon House, which is actually Irvington, New York, I believe. So a totally third separate town, but they're again all very close to each other. So again, most of these places are historic places, mansions, buildings, places that have a lot of history, you know, places for people who love architecture, but they're not spooky, in my opinion. Now, the spookiness comes in October. So what is there to do in Sleepy Hollow in October? Of course, all of the same things I just mentioned, which do have special tours for the month of October. So the Octagon House, the Armour Steiner House, does do a sort of mystery themed tour. The Lyndhurst Mansion has different things each year, which are sometimes spooky. There used to be the Haunted Hayride, which was a big haunted house in Sleepy Hollow, and it took place at Phillipsburg Manor. I haven't seen it taking place since before COVID, so I don't know if they run that event anymore, but that was one that I really wanted to do and I never got to, so I hope they run it again sometime soon. Then probably one of the most well-known things is the Great Jack-o'-lantern Blaze. Now, this is not in Sleepy Hollow, and it's also not in Tarrytown. It's actually in Croton-on-Hudson, which is about maybe 20 minutes north of Sleepy Hollow. But if you're visiting in October, it's a great thing to do while you're there. You also have Hulda's Night, which is a performance put on about Hulda, who was a Bohemian healer. Well, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. If you want to know more, you can check out my travel guide, my Sleepy Hollow section, or you can just Google Hulda of Bohemia. But she's got a really interesting story, and her gravestone is in the Old Dutch Church Cemetery. And there is a performance in October that's put on surrounding her story and who she was. There's also a new event called Hearts of the Hollow, which started last year. It is another live performance. I have not been to it, but I've heard very good things about it. Then you have your cemetery tours. Now, these are probably some of the most fun in my opinion. Cemetery tours in Sleepy Hollow sell out really, really quickly. I've actually missed the opportunity for the one tour I wanted 2 years in a row. So you have to check the tickets as soon as they drop, but they offer a bunch of different really cool tours during October, and they kind of change up the tours every year as well. So there used to be a tour where I think it was Cocktails with the Dead, something similar to that, and they would actually take you inside one of the crypts where the Dark Shadows TV series was filmed, and you got to go inside and kind of see pictures and things that people had left there. Some of the tours they offer in October are the Murder and Mayhem tour, a classic evening lantern tour, one called The Good, the Bad, and the Unusual, and a tour about American aristocrats that are buried in the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. Some other fun things to do if you're there in October are, of course, the Halloween parade. So it is the Tarrytown, I believe it's the Tarrytown Halloween parade. I went to it last year and it goes down Main Street in Tarrytown. That was super fun. I also love just walking around and looking at all the decorations. The houses are usually pretty well decorated for Halloween. Lots of skeletons sitting on porches. There's also a scarecrow making day. They put the scarecrows all along the fence around Patriots Park, so when you walk through the town, you can see all the different scarecrows. And of course, there's some really great places to eat and grab a drink. Horse Feathers is one of the more popular places, and that is owned by Sleepy Hollow Country. If you follow her account, she's on Instagram and TikTok, but she is the owner of the restaurant Horse Feathers, and there is a line out the door at that place in October. So good luck eating there. But they have a great atmosphere, really cool inside, great and friendly staff. And there's a ton of other places to eat in both Sleepy Hollow and Tarrytown. But as you probably have noticed, there's not as much to do there as there is in Salem. Now, Salem, you could spend 5 days there and still not get to do everything. Sleepy Hollow, in my opinion, you really only need a day, 2 tops, that's it. So again, I really want to stress that, in my opinion, one place is not better than the other. They are just so different. Sleepy Hollow is also not just a walking town, right? Salem has Essex Street, where part of it is sectioned off so that cars aren't supposed to drive on it. So you have an area where it's just walking. Sleepy Hollow doesn't have that. You're walking along sidewalks, you're walking along main roads. It's just like a different type of environment, I guess. And I'm sure that when people get there and see that, they're comparing it to Salem, and of course it's just not the same, and they've gotten their hopes up, and now they're disappointed. So if you are planning a visit to Sleepy Hollow, know that there is a good amount of things to do for 1 or 2 days. A lot of it is more history based. And if you are coming for the spooky, then you definitely want to come in October. If you love architecture, you love history, you love the legend of Sleepy Hollow, you love just a good river town, it's right along the Hudson River, then come during any season and you'll still enjoy yourself. But if you are a spooky seeker, October only for you. So this video was not to rate either place or really pit them against each other. It was just to explain how they are different and what your expectations should be if you're visiting Sleepy Hollow. So I hope this video helped if you were thinking of coming to Sleepy Hollow. Maybe it helped you decide when to come, not to come. I think you should come because it's a really cool town. But I also understand that people are sometimes looking for specific things, and Sleepy Hollow just might not have what you're looking for. Let me know if you have any specific questions about Sleepy Hollow in the comments, and I will do my best to get back to them. And I hope this video helped you figure out what to expect when coming to Sleepy Hollow. Thanks for watching. I would really appreciate it if you liked this video and subscribed to my channel. I'll see you guys next time.